Hello, this is Julie. It is close to 6 p.m. anyway, and I'm back putting together episode of Fatal Girl, step by step, slowly but surely, being as much of a perfectionist as I feel like. I've decided I'm going to save up a bunch of dialogue scenes and put them all together at once put all the sound effects in at once. So do the dialogue repeatedly for as long as it takes, and then start to work my way through putting in sound effects. I don't know. It makes as much sense as any other thing, but at least it's repetitive and simple for now. Now let's see. I need scene list. All right. And I need to open up the episode. I always forget to do these things ahead of time. Things like, make sure I've got all my files open. I'm always going a mile a minute, and I've got too many damn things to do, I'll tell you. It's been surprisingly busy. I mean, it's this time of year is part of it, because everything goes crazy around the holidays, but I don't really do much holiday stuff except avoid. I mean, I get dragged out to Christmas with somebody or other. Family, not just random strangers. but but just getting so many things. Well, let's see. What we were doing yesterday was Chiyoko and Hyde. Let's do an Alice episode. Let's see. I have brains. An Alice scene, which we'll go to scene 15. Now, this is going to be an example of editing up a monologue. Oh, right, we were all the way down in there. Oops. And, now, you may wonder why I'm constantly going back and forth between Warehouse 13 and Griff, and honestly, so am I at this point. But Warehouse 13 is my built-in hard drive. Griff is a backup hard drive. The reason it's yellow, it's named after the character in Red versus Blue. All my hard drives have names like that, all my backup drives. I'm trying to keep all the special effects and things centralized so that whichever computer I happen to be working on, because I have a laptop also, I have it handy. But I might just port all that stuff into here at some point as a backup. I don't want to do it right now. I mean, this computer's pretty good, but it could still slow it down and give me all sorts of crap on that. So what I want to do is get into season 2 episode 1, into the scene breakdown, and the Alice scene that I want is scene 15. Now this that was just a mislabeling. Scene 15. I should point out, that when I was breaking up the scenes, I called it the wrong name. I called it scene 16, and I had it in the scene 16 file until I replaced it. But I moved it, but you can't just rename these always. I mean, it may be okay now, and a lot of times I'm speaking from old data, and I do point that out. But with Audacity, as I've pointed out before, and I'll continue to point out over and over again until everyone gets it, this Audacity file always has to stay with its associated subfolder. And they have to stay the same name and things, because if they don't recognize each other, then they will be broken. And your file will be gone. So you always want to keep them together when you move them, and you don't want to just randomly rename them. If I was going to rename this, I would open it up and resave it as 15 and then delete 16. Because the Audacity file itself, this file, the AUP, is tiny, because all it is an index of all the little sound bites in here. All these little sound bites, and if the file doesn't have the index, it doesn't know where to put them. I mean, if the program doesn't have the AUP file to tell them where all these little bits are, it can't put them together into sound. And you're basically holding a handful of pages without an index, except not even that. Pages in a foreign language without an index. So you always keep them together, and you never, I mean, I would never ever rename them in this area. I would always save as and then delete the old version. When I did clean it up and saved it, I saved it to the right number here, which is the 15HN. HN stands for high pass filter and noise reduction, which means that I have already done those functions on this file. That's how I keep track of where I am when I come back to it. I'm like, did I do that already? Yes, I did, because I named that. I do that all the time, and that way I always know that if the file says HN, it's been cleaned. And the next version is HN edited, which is when I start editing it, you know. Since I can name the files anything I want, I might as well just keep up, right? Oh, whoops, I want to bring the chat window up there, in case anybody happens to show up and wants to chat. So, but I've already opened it, so here we are. Now, this is Alice. I've kept the second track to it. This was originally a stereo track, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. To me, it's obvious. Because we were recording, this was all recorded in one day. And you'll see this is going to go on. We had one day where we sat down with Beverly, who's Alice, Ray, who's Ken, Mike, who's Hyde, and then I was behind the recorder. Whoops. And we recorded all the lines for those three characters for 3 whole episodes. It was a fun day. We were a little punchy by the end. But one reason to do it in a group is because we can help direct each other and try to get the best performances out of each other, and also because we get the best bloopers this way. So I'm going to listen through, especially things where the track shows up on the off track, just to see if there's any good bloopers or comments in here, because then I can just delete this once I've listened. So let's see what we had to say.
Yeah, let's smoothie this.
Whoops,
Yeah,
I
just the
forgot
last
to
bit.
switch to the headphones. I'm so clever. Knew I forgot something. It's winter and my brains don't always work. Okay, let's try that again. Take 2.
Yeah, let's smoothie this. Just the last bit.
On the end, ready, jump on it. That would take the edge off. Up and over.
That would take the edge off.
Okay, we don't always listen to each other's direction, but we try. That was just commentary and direction, so I'm going to just delete that. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is I'll probably just use the final take on this, wherever it starts for this particular scene. And, so, you know, I'm going to work my way back through this. I do try to listen to everything possible, you know, for good bloopers and stuff, because, frankly, you know, one of the things that people love about the show is that we do include a ton of bloopers at the end. And the bloopers mainly come from sessions like this where we're recording in a group, but even individual stuff sent in to me often ends up with it.
That sounds great. Dad, blood.
When you're saying the part, anytime.
Hold on. Let's see what this sounds like.
Cheesecake. That sounds great. Dad, blood.
I'm going to take that over into the blooper file. The blooper file is over here. The less patient I get as I go along, the less bloopers I copy out. I will freely admit that. But let's see what the rest of this was. It's probably just direction.
Anytime when you Ken, no, not Ken. I mean, it's like retreat from it. You were
No,
backing away
Ken.
from it. No, retreat from it. When you get down, Ken would teach me. No, it's kind of a
Right, but not quite that big, because I'm not
Yeah.
Ken.
No, that's my comic relief.
That's
part.
your thing. You.
Oh.
Why not? I can always cut it out later. I mean, I'm just putting anything I think that might be entertaining into the blooper file, and then if I don't like it when I'm assembling them, or if it doesn't fit, or there's more funny stuff, I just leave it out. But I do save as I go along. So none of that was particularly pertinent. Is there...
Hey, and you know, it's possible.
Okay. And so it looks like we didn't, you know, there's not much in the way of other... When I've got 2 different people in the scene, the other person would be on this side, because what we have is 2 mics going in that are roughly separated.
It does. It
Can I have
does.
another?
You know, I'm about to say Ken, so really,
Hey, it's physical
Ken.
contact.
Okay.
So now, as a point of reference, I mean, well, first off, I was saying we usually have two people on the mic when we have scenes with more than one person, and put them, on each mic. The different mics bring things in separately, but as you can hear, you can still hear what's going on here in this mic as well because they're not in separate rooms, but they are fairly separated out, which is nice. So everything on that track is totally unimportant. Good. So we've narrowed it down. The next thing I need to do, I'm going to fix some volume on here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do some pop mute, which is one of my favorite functions. I'm actually going to take it well down, though, because these spikes are so very different than the rest of the track. Oh, no, you bastard. Pardon my French. I didn't mean -0. I meant -6, but my numlock's not on. I hate that when the computer gets turned off, it defaults to turning off numlock. So every time you turn numlock, I'm like, can I just have a permanent numlock, please? So my number pad, so my keypad is always a keypad. Thank you. And then I'm going to take this up. Let's actually do that. Yeah, and I'm going to take those down again, but I'm just going to deal with it at 3 instead of 6. Basically, as I've said before, what I'm doing, the numbers that I've put in are the first number, the -6, and then the -3, is how far down from the top edge we're looking at. And what it's telling it is everything from that's taller than that line, -3, has to come down by 1. And I keep bringing it down until they're all under -3. Or -6, as I started out with. So now I've evened out the sound some. I'm not trying to make it perfectly even in an audio drama, though I make it a lot more even when I'm doing solid readings. Okay, now the first line of the scene...
Ken. No, not Ken.
Is that. So this is the second take on the scene, which I'm usually going to work with, given a choice, but I'm going to put the first take onto a file of its own, onto a separate line, so I have it. Because, like with yesterday, with Hyde's breathiness, I was constantly going back and checking other versions of the same line to see if it was a little clearer. Alice doesn't have that problem, and also she cleans up better in the high-pass filter because, being female, she's got a higher voice, so the high-pass doesn't have as much. So we can't run a high-pass on Hyde without losing that sexy huskiness. That's why Hyde takes extra work to clean. If you don't know the show, just as a quick refresher, Chiyoko is the magic girl who fights monsters. Alice is the swordswoman who fights monsters. Hyde is the rich creep who's in love with Chiyoko. And Ken is Chiyoko's cousin / stepbrother who is the Xander, who doesn't really have any powers. And he's in love with Alice, and Alice actually likes him a lot. It may be in love with him, but she's having serious problems. In fact, the previous season 1, ended with her having a nightmare. At least I hope we made it clear it was a nightmare. About killing him. So, she's been having horrible nightmares in general, but that was like the worst, and that was the season finale. So, she's been really, really trying to avoid him in case that was like a premonition or something. So, she's actually at this point running away. She's leaving for a while. She's going somewhere. She's got something in mind she wants to do, but because in season 1, they went to deal with a serial killer, and in episode 4, and we're in a town close to a town called Hyde's Park. And she still doesn't trust Hyde, even though they've come to some agreement. And everybody kept calling him Mr. Mayor from, like he was a local celebrity. So she's going to Hyde's Park to see what the hell is up. And this is her in the train station.
Ken. No, not Ken. Think of something else. Koval. What the hell is a Koval? How long till the train leaves? Oh, not soon enough. I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not Ken! I can't even look at him. Not with these dreams. The way they make me feel. Ugh. And there's only one person that might have an answer. I just hope the damn shop is there again. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do.
Oh, I should have mentioned also when they were in the next town over with the serial killer, she was in a fortune teller's shop, old Auntie Hebby, and so this is actually previous to the Hebby and Alice scene that I started putting together earlier, and this is when she's heading out trying to get back to there as well and find out. Or actually, it wasn't Alice and Hebby; it was Alice and the old woman. Did I do an Alice and Hebby scene too? I think I did. So, I mean, I'm backtracking around. I'm basically just picking out whatever scene I want to do. You don't have to work in order, and I actually don't have voices for a number of the scenes, or at least not all of the voices. I have to sit down with some of my actors, and I've got to get some stuff coming in. But, and I can fill them in when I get there.
Maybe I'll get lucky? Sorry. Fuck. Maybe I'll get... Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off. Okay, just from the maybe I'll get lucky? Or the whole thing? Okay. Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off.
I gotta decide which version I like better.
Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off.
Actually, I like that first take better. You know, one reason to get multiple takes is, you know, if it's blatantly wrong or it's misleading or doesn't make sense. But another reason is just, you know, so that you have a variation so that later on down the line, it's a choice what you're going to do. So, you know, I am actually generally pretty happy with that whole take. So I'm going to... Oh, forgot to save it. Oh, shit. That's okay. I'm messing up all over the place because I'm talking. I'm going to save this as edited because I'm so clever. I always leave the previous letters in too, so I can't come back and go, oh, did I edit it and then HN it, or did I HN it and then edit it? I don't remember. Because it's way too easy to get confused. So I've got this. Now, I mean, it's a monologue. It really is. And there's... And right now it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Now, just for the hell of it, I am going to import, and I'm going to go all the way down to my other drive to get a sound effect. And I want... I've got to have a train station somewhere. Hopefully. And not an old school train station. I have like old school trains because have done westerns and I've done Victorian things. I don't want anything like that. The train. Oh, that's old. Platform crowd. I wonder if that's okay. Train alarm bell. Train station. Okay. Well, I'm going to open all three of these into this file because I need to find out if they're right and I don't want to have to keep opening them. So I used the import function rather than the open function. I went to File, Import, Audio, and that way when I open them up, they open all up in this same file. If I just wanted to open them, I'd open them and they'd open as 3 different files of their own. Now, I saved this because when I save, one of the functions that I've turned on, which I was having issues with something from before, was copying uncompressed files into the project and things like that. So I always want to do that so that when I copy them in, they're part of this project. They're not just a link to a file, because anytime you have a link to a file, if the file moves or if this moves, then there's a chance that you won't find it anymore. Or, and as long as it's in this file, it takes up more space, but it's still here. And so I've got these three different backgrounds. Let's see if any of them are functional for this. That sounds reasonably modern. That sounds reasonably modern, and I'm pretty sure trains don't sound like that anymore. So that's totally not. Okay. Now they're super loud and I don't need that, obviously. Sorry. It's just always funny. Now, one thing I'm going to do with them, because I've got all those sharp footstep noises that I want to make sure are not going to um, be too jarring and get in the way of her voice, is I'm going to do a low pass filter. A low pass filter takes the edge off the high sharp noises like that. Watch these as I do this. You see it all comes down a little bit. And I'm going to do that on this track too. Now, I'm going to use both of these probably. And one of the reasons for that is the track is a reasonable length. It's 17 seconds long. So, and it's not anything special. So it's not likely to draw attention to itself. But really, it's nice to have as much as possible to vary up your background so that people aren't all like, ooh, there's that same bird again, or what's that honk in the distance? Is that the same car? Anything that draws people out of the story is a bad thing. So the next thing I'm going to do, I am going to run a high pass filter, just a really low one, on both of these, just to take out any noise. And then I'm going to volume them down by, let's go -20. I know it looks almost invisible, but it's really not. When it has to be well under her voice is what it is, because you don't ever want anything to interfere with the voice, whether it's the music or the background noise or whatever. Now, I alternated that because that way, unless the sound is dramatically different between those two, and they both sounded, in the brief bit I listened to, roughly the same, it just gives it a bunch of sound. A bunch of variation as it goes. So let's just see how that turns out. I'm going to collapse these tracks up. I try to generally always keep the mute and solo buttons available so that if I don't have to fiddle with those too much.
Ken. No, not Ken. Think of something else. Koval. What the hell is a koval? How long till the train leaves? Oh, not soon enough. I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not Ken! I can't even look at him. Not with these dreams. The way they make me feel. Ugh. And there's only one person that might have an answer. I just hope the damn shop is there again. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off.
Okay, I don't like this part. Now, what I'm going to do, though, rather than get rid of it, is I'm actually going to move this to the beginning, because it won't be bad there. And then I'm going to swap these out. These two are identical, obviously, but that was just easier than shifting them too much. And this way, what I get is that this one is quieter than these, and I'm trying to make sure they overlap more so that what sound there is, because obviously there was a huge gap in the sound, and you never want that. But this was quieter, and that way I've got quieter as she comes in, and then you've got this more constant sound. I know, we're going to listen to it again. It's just a minute. You do a lot of re-listening to stuff.
Ken. No, not Ken. Think of something else. Koval. What the hell is a koval? How long till the train leaves? Oh, not soon enough. I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not Ken! I can't even look at him. Not with these dreams. The way they make me feel. Ugh! And there's only one person that might have an answer. I just hope the damn shop is there again, otherwise, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off.
See, now that makes it much better in a lot of ways. However, one of the things I'm still getting a little bit of blanking out at the ends. And since it's just about the perfect length right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tempo both of these down just a skosh. And that's using my repeat key, Q, and in fact this one too, so that I can just draw them in a little bit more and they're going to overlap a little bit more. So that if you just listen to this transition...
Oh, not soon enough. I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not... And there's only one person that might have an answer.
See, now we've got a smooth transition between both of these background sounds. And it gives us a little bit of different sound at the beginning than later on. Now, I might add another sound in here somewhere. There's always something I could put in. But I think this is okay. I mean, really, we don't want to distract at all from Alice's monologue. I am going to manually take down these a little bit, just because they are still a little hot for the rest of the scene. And I'm going to bring up a lot of this other stuff. Just a skosh. Again, because we want to make sure everything she says is clear. This is a very important moment. This is Alice leaving everyone else behind for a while. I mean, going off, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Because she doesn't have any memory past 3 years ago, and she doesn't know where she comes from or anything. So, and she's recently been having these nightmares, and one of the things the nightmares mention is Koval, which is this name that has basically popped out of her mouth a couple times as well. And she needs to know what Koval is. And that's right, I did do the scene where Hebby is talking about Koval and how she's not at her best tonight.
Ken. No, not Ken. Think of something else. Koval. What the hell is a Koval? How long till the train leaves? Oh, not soon enough. I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me.
Okay, I'm gonna fade that in a little bit more. There's a few noises in her track that I'm gonna just focus on real quick. With all this stuff going on, obviously there's really not much of the noises that we're gonna have to worry about.
Koval. What the hell is a Koval? How long till the train leaves? Oh, not soon enough. I could always learn to drive.
Damn it! That's pissing me off. I really don't like how it's set up right now, where it won't. It will either auto scroll constantly or it won't auto scroll at all.
Not soon enough.
I'm gonna take that little hitch out.
Not soon enough. I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not.
That's a mouth noise. We don't need.
I could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not Ken. I can't even look at him. Can't even look at him. Not with these dreams. The way they make me feel. Ugh. And there's only one person that might have an answer.
Okay, there's a little sound here, and then we've got a little bit of a pop here on the P. You can see it spikes a little bit. I mean, it's not really a pop, but I'm still going to just do a little chunk on it there. Let's see if I...
Person that might have an answer.
Yeah.
I just hope the damn shop is there again, otherwise I don't know what I'll do.
I want to get here. I don't know. We don't need the breath noise. I mean, this is a voiceover, and arguably it's just in your head, so you
I
wouldn't.
don't know what I'll do.
That's why I wouldn't have mouth noises and breath noises. That's why I'm taking them out.
I'll do. Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off.
And that's great. Okay.
I'll do.
Let's look at this K and see if it's too poppy. I don't think it is. Nah, it's pretty clear. So I think in general that one, that's simple and works, but we're going to do it as a voiceover. So I'm going to duplicate the track. Another thing that I want to do is put her off to one side or the other. I try never to leave somebody centered because it feels more three-dimensional when things are distinctly to one side or another. So put her 30 left. I'm going to take the volume down by 20. I'm going to put on reverb. And Audacity, I'm sure they've got better reverb things, and I'm sure I could learn how to use it. I tend to just default it and then screw around with it afterwards. And that's one of those areas I really need to look at. I mean, I really need to work on, but I always run, because it always ends up a little chimey, and not chimey, high noises that I do a low pass filter on it just to take an edge off so it doesn't sound too annoying. And then we do this.
Ken. No, not Ken. Think of something else. Ken.
There's a thump in there. What is that?
Ken. Ken.
Huh. There's something in her voice that just...
Ken. Think of something else. Koval. What the hell is a Koval? How long till the train leaves? Oh, not soon enough. Could always learn to drive. Ken would teach me. Not Ken! Can't even look at him. Not with these dreams. The way they make me feel. Ugh. And there's only one person that might have an answer. I just hope the damn shop is there again. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll get lucky and have to kill something along the way. That would take the edge off.
Okay. I'm going to take right here. There's just a little bit of noise. I don't need a little bit of a breath. And it starts to fade out right as she finishes. And I'm going to take the C. I can't really do that right now. I think that's fine. I could... If I need to, I could superimpose some more of this noise on there. Actually, you know what? This first part is too different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy one of these, go to the beginning of this track and paste it, and then I'm going to shift them all again to fit that. And that'll give me plenty of runoff on the end of the track. I just have to listen and make sure that the transitions are...
Ken would teach me, not Ken!
That the transitions are clean.
The shop is there again, otherwise I don't...
I'm also going to do, just to be weird, I'm going to take this one, I think it's in here. Swap stereo channels. And the reason for that is so that anything in here that is recognizably from here is on the other side now. It's just a weird little thing so that the sound changes somewhat as it evolves, and then it'll change back here. So I think that one's basically done. Again, there's not really any sound effects in this particular scene, and I'm only halfway through my hour. Woohoo! Let's see, how about, I bet I've got another, I've definitely got this. There's a lot of voiceover monologues in this particular episode. So, well, I mean, partly it's because we're coming back after the hiatus, so to speak. I mean, we're literally coming back to these characters, and the hiatus has been 5 years. I mean, people listening to it new won't know that, but it's getting everybody back into the characters. It's resetting up all of their conflicts and uh, working through. I mean, everybody actually just about has really, really interesting monologues in this one. Actually, I think Chiyoko doesn't. Everybody else does. See, I write for everybody. I don't just write for myself. Okay, we're going to go do scene 23, which is Ken's monologue. So, I'm going to open up scene 23. And, oh, of course, I have to go all the way back to Warehouse 13. I need to make... I'll do it offline, but I need to make I have to make it one of the libraries just so I can get back here right away. I'm also going to see about moving the sound effect file into this folder, at least for now, so that Ken 23, so that I don't have to dick around quite so much with going. Now, obviously, I've cleaned it already, so here we are with Ken. Now, Ken was on the other microphone, as you can see. Now, it doesn't look like there's anything on this side that wasn't coming from that side, except right here, maybe, as I look for bloopers.
Okay.
Who's playing? That'd be cool. She's around during the summers.
None of that is at all important or funny, so we will move on. And let's see, where are we? That is long gone.
Oh, that's gonna be so bad.
I'm not going to tell you what that was. None of that's actually important or funny, which is sad. What's over here?
Play with this one. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a shoot?
Okay, so clearly we had him retake that line a few times. This is probably the second take on the scene.
Yeah, let's see, you get 2 words this season. Oh, okay. Alright. Well, we're not broke.
Okay, so this is where the second take starts. And everything else... Oh, actually, let me get rid of the duplicate track, because it doesn't look like there's much in the way of funny in there. I look for things that don't appear on this side so that I can hear them before I delete it, and there doesn't seem like there was much. If there is something funny, it's in the middle of it, and it'll still be there. So I'm going to take this off to use as my working track and move it up so that this one can be... I like working on the top. I leave... That way it just... Generally, as long as I'm always working on the top one or using it as the one that's active, then if I have to leave the file and come back, I always know I'm working on the top one, and I don't have to be like, which one was I using this time? So I'm going to save this one as edited right off the bat, because there's... so I don't forget. And then I'm going to pull this up. Now this is... Now, Ken doesn't have as deep a voice. Well, I mean, the actor does, but the character doesn't, as Hyde. So I don't have to worry as much about keeping that sexy in there, because Ken is more the nice guy next door. Now, I am going to use the pop mute to pull down some of this and bring up everything. And then this, I'm going to manually reduce. We're going to go -4. Part of it, part of repetitiveness being useful in a lot of this is the fact that as you do, you start to get sort of numbers in your head. It's like, this much is -4, and this much is -3, and this much is minus, so you start to look at things and go, yeah, I need to bring that down by about 3, or I need to bring that down by about whatever. I mean, it just starts to click for you as you see things. As I said when I was teaching Kim, hi Kim, in case you're listening to this, the part of the whole she was saying how you get to the point where you can almost read the waveform as your work once you work on it enough. So now Ken, his internal monologue is at home, so he doesn't have background noise of the same kind. Oops. Find, not navigate, you dumb. Open up. There we go. But he is actually walking around the house, which is going to be real interesting to do as I do this. But so I'm this one will be one of those where I'm going to come back and do the sound effects on it and actually move him through the soundscape as he's thinking. But this is still an internal monologue, even so. It'll just be fun. Okay, so let's give it a listen. It's probably not as long as it is. I'm sure there's stops and starts in here.
All right. Well, we're not.
Yeah, I gotta start with the intake of breath to get the full impact of his heavy sighs.
Well, we're not broke.
Damn it, we've still got that deep hum under there. Well, I should still have the noise removal track from Hyde's yesterday to...
Well, we're not broke yet, but with interest in...
Can anybody else hear this? I mean, nobody else is listening right now, but...
Well, we're not broke yet, but with...
I'm going to just take a moment, because I can hear this, and I'm going to run a 300 high-pass filter.
Well, we're not broke yet, but...
That does reduce it somewhat. I don't want to take it that far if I have a choice, but I wasn't able to take that out before, and it's so annoying. And the problem is, now this is one of those places where if I take it out in between his words, it will stand out more under his words. Because a solid sound that continues throughout is easier for your ear to ignore and single out and just like discard, just overlook, than a noise that comes in and out and constantly gets your attention. And that's one reason it's awkward, particularly.
Well, we're not broke yet, but with interest and penalties, we just lost a whole year's solvency on down the line. I hate this uncertainty.
I'm going to take out this noise anyway. I don't like some of these.
I hate this uncertainty. Not being absolutely sure we'll be safe and have what we need. If only they would take me seriously. Listen to me. Duh! I hate being the bean counter, the worry wart, the voice of reason. No one ever respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a shit? Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be.
And there's definitely a noise in here I have to get rid of. I can hear... I'll deal with that in a minute.
I could have been a doctor. Been well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a success. And no monsters, no danger, no panic, no random trips to strange places. No Chiyoko, no Hyde, no Alice. On the other hand, if there was an Alice, if I didn't feel this overwhelming wish to be with her...
See, one of the things that I felt I should do when I was writing this is you always have to have some kind of romantic angst. And since I'm not inflicting it on Chi and Hyde, they've got a whole different set of things going on. I have to put it on Alice and Ken. It's just
on the other hand,
sort of the way it works.
If there was an Alice, if I didn't feel this overwhelming wish to be with her, to look after her, I could have found something better, something healthy. A woman who would have been appropriate. A nice, pleasant, pretty woman. Someone who could cook and keep house and would be devoted to good old Dr. Sakamoto. And we would grow old together in pleasant contentment. Nah.
That, nah, I might actually want to change, but we'll see what the other take sounds like. Because I kind of want it more like, nah, like really, really negative. But we're going to save that for now and go down here and see what it sounded like in this take. It would be right here, almost certainly.
Nah. Dang. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a... Dang.
I can see why we redid that line a couple of times to get more emphasis.
Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a Darn.
Let me see what it sounds like in the original track here. It was right up in here. It wasn't actually anywhere near as emphasis.
Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a shit? Hell of Chiyoko.
The reason we did that is because we've been deliberately making Ken not a cusser. He says things like crackers instead of crap even. So yeah, he's not a cusser. I'm gonna bring this down 4 to start with. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't.
The good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang? Hell of Chiyoko.
No, I was deleting. We're not playing. Shut up. Okay. So I think I might try running a slightly higher high pass filter here just to get rid of... I know what I'm going to do. Just to make sure it's not catastrophic, I'm going to save a copy first, and then I'm going to high pass this. And I'm going to just mute that one out. That way, I've got it sitting right there. If I screwed it up, I can just take it apart again. So, alright. Let's see if that's any better. No play.
Well, we're not broke yet.
So he doesn't sound bad when he's been done that. Now let's see if I can do the noise removal and if that will get rid of... Actually, I'm going to make a new noise removal exemplar for this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this over. I know this is the same old crap I've been doing over and over again, but sometimes you got to do it over and over again. Well, actually, let's see. Yeah, it's already blanked out of that portion of it. I just need to get into what's in between the words here. So, I'm going to start here and just save all the blank spots I can. So that I can try to isolate that underlying sound. There's almost certainly a better place in the track to do this, but... And I may have to go back and take a different sample to work with. Oh, that's way too small. I'm going to have to do that. Let's see here. This area might be better. Or even this right at the end between these parts. After that, I may have... at the end of that part, I may have actually taken it out already. Maybe cleaned the sound out already. But at least at the beginning of that part, I probably hadn't yet. Whoops. Hey. Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot more blank sound in here. But I might as well keep as much of it as I can from whichever part it's coming from. As I've mentioned before, it's almost impossible to constantly guess, estimate what you're looking at as far as time goes, because we go up and down size-wise on, here right now this is a second, but if I go if I make the screen a little smaller, then that's a second. It's really hard to eyeball things for time unless you only keep it ever on one one ruler size there. Okay, so I'm gonna take this up. Oh, there's still a lot of scratchy parts. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of. Oops. Meh. Oh, you stupid booty head. Okay. I thought I had done that already. And I thought I had done this already. What I just did was, when I pasted in the second part, there was a line between the two sections. I thought I'd already clicked on it to get rid of it to merge the two sections. I hadn't. And then I also thought I had made the screen fit the sample, which apparently I hadn't done either. So let's take this now. We've got the whole sample fitting in the screen because now I'm awake or whatever. I've duplicated it so I have a clean track at the bottom. My working track I always use on top. Now I'm going to amplify. Oh my gosh, this whole area is nasty. And I'm trying to get 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And... hey, baby, it'll only take 5 seconds. No, whatever that was, no. Most of the time I work on my laptop, so I don't have the same keyboard, which is why I sometimes have keyboard issues. Well, look at that. That's what it looks like when we bring it way up in size. And that's kind of ugly. So, I mean, really, I should be taking that section alone. Actually, I want to see what that 1 second sounds like by itself. Yeah, see, the thing is, whenever you get a track and some part is distinctively lower, I forgot that. I mean, I didn't forget. A lot of times that is not the sample you want. If you have one where you get a blank line, that means you already blanked it out and it's not going to do you any good to use it as a sample. But this is the noise I want to take out because that's the noise coming from in here. So I actually don't want to use this piece for once. That's very seldom the case, but once in a while it's like, okay, so it's quieter in that section than it is in the rest of the track. So this is what I need to take out, not that. So I'm going to bring this up again. Oh, that doesn't really help me. When it gets all out like this, all kind of spread out and fuzzy, it's harder to see. But if I run a high-pass filter, that usually just compresses it a little bit, so it's a little easier to see. Now, I'm going to take out these points first, because those are definitely need to go. I'm going to volume it up again, and I'm going to take it down here, just visually bring it down so I have a little bit more control over it. Now the question is, do I want to get rid of all of this? We're getting down to, what is this, 2.5 seconds now? There's not a lot of clean space in this track. I'm pulling out the things where I can see that light blue inner part extends bigger, because that is really the part we're looking at for a lot of stuff. And I don't want to take out anything I don't have to. So, just to even it out as much as I can. And avoid as much damage to the voice as I can. So, okay, I'm going to go with that. That's just over 2 seconds. It's still very wobbly through here, but I'm fine. I'm going to copy that and paste it, and then paste it again, so that what I've got is, as you can see, 6.5 seconds now. She got to get more than 5. I'm going to do, well, and actually, let's listen to that. Let's listen to this part of it. You can hear it there. You can still hear it. Even though, if you look at it now, 50 is the most amplification you can get, period. if you can amplify by 50, this should be a blank line. There should be nothing here. But we can still hear it because it's there is still depths to plumb below 50. You just can't deliberately go there. 50 is the distance between the center line here and the edge. Period. Anything down here is subterranean or something. But the sound can still exist. And in fact, this is way below 50 because this number this number here, the new peak amplitude number, should be this volume, the volume this is at now, plus that number should equal this number. So this is saying that this is 21 below 50. So this is actually like a minus 70 right now. And we can still hear it. So, I mean, in the ear manually, more or less. And so it is really low, but it is still there. It's good to make sure, no matter what, when you're getting a noise sample, that it is at least 50 here, because that means that you've got it as clean as you possibly can. I go way below that, as you can see, but I'm really anal about it. So I'm not going to amplify it. I just opened that up to see how bad how deep it was. But I am going to noise removal, get noise, or noise reduction, my bad. Get noise. You get a phrase in your head and you just can't get rid of it. Now, I'm going to get rid of the sample track because that's just noise. I'm going to run the noise removal here on Ken's track. Noise reduction. And then we're going to listen and see if it sounds better. If I can still hear it under his words, but not in between, then I'm going to undo. I'd rather keep it everywhere than have it coming in and out. So let's listen.
Well, we're not broke yet, but well, with interest and penalties, we just lost a whole year's solvency on down the line. I hate...
Nope, I can still hear it underneath everything. So I'm going to undo the noise removal. It is so much better to keep it consistent than to cut it out, than to...
Well, we're not broke yet, but well, with interest...
Because then it's consistent and your mind will eventually blank it out. So I'm giving up on changing that. Here we go. But so far his speech sounds pretty good. I'm just going to go through quickly with one more listen and take out anything that, take out some of the extra noises that I don't want in his voice.
Well, we're not broke yet, but well, with interest and penalties, we just lost a whole year's solvency.
Okay, there's a little click here. It's a mouth noise, and I can't blank it out right now because with the background noise, if I blank it, it'll be a blank spot among the background noise. So I have to either delete it or replace it with some of the background noise. That's one of the problems with working with extra background noise.
I hate
this is another noise. That's why I'm taking out as tiny as I can, because I like the pacing in general, and I don't want to interfere with that, so I'm just trying to remove exactly the bits I don't want.
Uncertainty. Not being absolutely sure we'll be safe and have what we need. If only they would take me seriously. Listen to me.
And I think I'm going to go ahead and space this out a little bit more where this noise is. And I copied from another place with noise so that it should be consistent.
Have what we need. If only they would take me seriously. Listen to me.
And again, I want to replace that.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
This is a noise I don't want. I'm going to volume this down just a skosh because, again, it's a little loud.
Listen to me.
As what just happened here, if you highlight a section, it'll only play that section and stop. When I put the clicker down just to pick where to start, if I accidentally move it, then I highlight a piece.
Listen to me. I hate being the bean counter, the worry wart, the voice of reason. Uh, no one ever respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. No.
There's a little noise here to get rid of. And I actually want to volume this part up just a bit because, I mean, just to get it more into range with everything else.
The budget specs.
Of course, that means that section, the noise, background noise, gets a little louder. Let me try the noise removal on this section only.
No one ever respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang?
See, it wasn't behind this part, which is where that I pasted in from the end of the track, and I don't know why. I mean, this was recorded several years ago in a situation, I mean, in a setup that I don't have set up anymore, so I can't go test it or fix it or anything. All I can do is hope to avoid it when I reset up my recording area for another group, or re-record all of this, which I really, really don't want to do. Oh, I do want to while I'm here. That's right. No, that's right. Pop mute it down just a skosh. Why do I keep saying that? I never used just a skosh until I start working on something like this. I don't know. So, let's
Never
finish.
has to give a dang. Hell if Chio.
See, and it pops back in here. What I'm going to do, and this is very annoying, I'm going to do this. Wait, where did my... That's very annoying. Somehow I deleted my actual noise track as well as the louder noise track. So, and you go, oh, well, crap, it's gone. No, it's not, because undo is your friend, and Audacity does do a lot of undoing. I have just copied this whole thing, and now I am going to undo until that comes back. I must have clicked twice without realizing it. Now, the reason I copied it is I don't want to have to do all that crap again. So, I'm going to get rid of all this set of those tracks and paste in my copied version, which was where I left off. A tricky way to make it work, but there it is. So this sound, though, I'm going to bring this up to size and then shrink it down a little bit. Why do I have a full copy of the track? That's weird. Okay. Alright. This is the area where I don't have background noise. And I'm going to paste in background noise. So we can see if that fits.
The budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang? Hell if Chioka would...
And then just to make sure, I'm going to, because I know it appears in this area somewhere, but I'm not sure where, so I'm going to duplicate that and volume it up. Now, it actually appears there because that's his breath. So I want to start here and fade it in so that this, I'm going to fade in and fade out just to make sure that the sound doesn't get overbearing when I bring in the new part. And then again here, I'm going to highlight this section. Get rid of this one now. Volume it all. Oh. It doesn't want to volume up. I have to trick it. Okay. I will take this much. See, if it doesn't have anything that's high enough to even start voluming up, it won't let you. And it gets weird about it sometimes. But now I can volume it up because I've tricked it by including something that I could see existed. I don't even know if I can explain what the hell I just did about that. But see, this is all just the background noise. But it ends here, more or less. So what I need to do is go here and fade it out so that the other one fading in doesn't complements
Budget
it.
specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang? Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be.
So now I've got a pretty consistent sound across that. I am actually at this point going to save this file and then save as an edited to, just because this is the way I do things. I'm overly cautious about a lot of things, but seeing how easy it is to accidentally delete an extra track and stuff, it's not surprising that I want to be cautious. Now, I'm cutting out all these things because I have them in the previous iteration. If I need them, I can go back to the previous file for them. That's one reason I did save again, is because I wanted to make sure I had a copy of that if I needed to go back to it for any reason. So I'm going to save this one, and then I'm going to blend these down. Okay, so now I've basically put the two tracks together so that noise is consistent
The one
here
never
throughout.
respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang? Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be.
Oh, there's still noises there I don't want. But see, it's getting so much better. And I mean, it's not 100% consistent. It fades a little in and out, but at least it's not just plain gone. And when you're dealing with stuff that's that low, it's so hard to do. I mean, that's just a tricky thing to do. If you can't get rid of it, you want to use it. That's just really the way it is. If you can't get rid of it, or just plain retake it. Now, here's the noises I don't want. These two. And again, I made myself a sample track to volume it up on so that I could see where they actually were. Now that I get rid of this,
I probably would be. I could have been a doctor. Been well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a success. And no monsters, no danger, no panic, no random trips to strange places. No Chiyoko, no Hyde.
and Hyde tries to be so nice to him in
No
season 2.
Chiyoko, no Hyde, no Alice. On the other hand, if there was an Alice, if I didn't feel this overwhelming wish to be with her, to look after her.
There's one horrible thing in this track, which is right in here. I know he's saying if there wasn't Alice.
If there was an Alice, if...
But it sounds like was an Alice. And that's going to drive me crazy. So I'm going to stick around for a little bit and see if I can fix this. Got to be tricky with it, so I'm going to reopen the last iteration here, the edited file, and seek out that line in the first track. I was hoping I was just imagining it, but, you go back through and then you're like, well, fuck.
On the other hand, if there was an Alice...
And he says it again, if there wasn't he doesn't have the t sound. And we didn't catch it. This is a tricky one, but not impossible. You gotta be really tricky to do it. So.
If there was an Alice...
If there was... See, is this...
If... Alice... wasn't...
Okay. So it's gotta be right here. It's gonna have to go right here between wasn't and Alice. So, I'm going to get tricky. Now, this one I need to take away. When you're taking out bookmarks, these are bookmarks. Control B opens up a label track. Well, they're not labels. They're labels, not bookmarks. I just call them B, B for marks. Anyway, if you're taking it out, if you do this and go delete, that one will move. You don't want to do that. If you go into it and you delete all the characters, then it goes away and doesn't move the other ones. So it's safe. Now, what I need to find is a T. Let's listen for a little bit.
If I didn't feel this overwhelming wish to be with her, to look after her, I could have found something better, something healthy. A woman who would have been appropriate, a nice, pleasant...
Where the fuck is the cursor? I hate this not scrolling with the cursor bullshit.
Something better, something healthy. A woman who would have been appropriate, a nice, pleasant, pretty woman. Someone who could cook and keep house and would be devoted to good old Dr. Sakamoto. And we would grow old together in pleasant contentment.
See, he's eating all of his teas, doesn't, and things like that. It's just that one part, it's confusing to not have it. And that's awkward because once you start really paying attention and realize that he's doing it...
And no monsters, no danger, no panic, no random trips to strange places. No Chiyoko, no hide, no...
I need a T at the end of a word. Is what
never has to give a... Dang. Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be. Well, we're not broke.
I'm gonna sigh like Ken now, just trying to find...
Interest and penalties. We just lost a whole year's solvency on down the line. I hate this uncertainty. Not being absolutely sure we'll be safe and have what we need. If only they would take me seriously. Listen to me. Duh! I hate being the bean counter, the worry wart, the voice of reason. No one ever respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a... Dang. Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be. I could have been a doctor. Been well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a success. And no monsters, no danger, no panic, no random trips to strange places. No Chiyoko.
God damn, he does not have a single ending T in here that I can hear. I swear, that's annoying as hell. Because you listen here.
A woman who would have been appropriate. A nice,
see,
pleasant,
appropriate,
someone who could cook and keep house pleasant.
A pleasant, pretty woman. He's dumped all his damn T's. I mean, you can kind of hear pleasant, a pretty woman. It's just like...
Appropriate. A nice,
appropriate,
pleasant, pretty woman. Someone who could cook and keep house and would be devoted to good old Dr. Sakamoto. Komodo. And we would grow old together in pleasant contentment.
In pleasant contentment. I mean, he's just... So that's a K, but there's no T on pleasant. It's pleasant contentment. Ah, Ken, I'm going to have to kick your butt. Well, I guess I'm going to have to find a T from him in another track, and I will do that tomorrow. I know it'd be easier just to get him in and re-record, but if I do that, I'm going to have to re-record the entire scene because the sound quality won't be the same. So I really... Actually, the first thing I should do is go to the previous track. Like I did before, open up the previous version and listen to the track less traveled. Let's see if we've got one in here anywhere, just in case. Dude, that's not even funny. I mean, the first part is... that part I'll put in there. It's like they always go too far. Dudes, man, it's like you gotta have some propriety. Okay. Before I give up, let's see if we can find a T.
You hope. Okay. Okay. We ready? Well, we're not broke yet, but
See, yet,
with
yet.
interest and penalties, we just lost a whole year's solvency down the line. I hate this uncertainty, not being absolutely sure that we'll be safe and have what we need. If only they would take me seriously.
I'm going to copy that D because it might be able to be used. D's are close to T's, and if I'm desperate.
Seriously, listen to me.
I mean, take. And the problem is you can't take it off the beginning of a word because it has a different sound and it blends into another sound. I really need something at the end of a word.
Listen to me.
Unless it
I
happens
hate
to
being the
be
bean counter,
in the
the
middle of a
worrywart,
word
the
and between the
voice of
same sounds
reason.
as it is.
No one ever respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a shit? Hell, if Chiyoko never...
Shit.
Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be. I could have been a doctor, been well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a...
I am such a pain in the ass. I like that take on I could have been a doctor better. So I'm going to mark that to come back to.
Well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a success. And no monsters. No danger, no panic, no random trips to strange places, no Chiyoko, no Hyde, no... Alice? Oh. On the other hand, if there was an Alice, if I didn't feel this overwhelming wish to be with her, to look after her, I could have found something better, something healthy. A woman would have been appropriate.
Ooh,
Nice
ooh, a T. A T. He finally said a T. Oh my god. Now, see, it's the problem is not that he's swallowing his T's. I could go through and replace all of them. I don't care about that. But the problem is that this changes the meaning of the sentence.
On the other hand, if there was an Alice...
If there was an Alice is completely different if there wasn't Alice. And that's why I'm so desperate to fix this, because it makes no sense. It is actively changing what's going on in the actual track. So now let's bring this up. I'm going to duplicate this so that I've got a track to work with. Why I did that just now and then deleted it is if I just paste in my what I copied, it goes all the way to the beginning of the track and I've got to move it over here. If I duplicate, then I'm right here with a blank track. It's just a little cheat. Now, okay, what I've got is a T. T. Okay. And it comes with a little bit of baggage. And I need to volume it up, which is going to do terrible things because of the background noise. Another reason for always clearing background noise. For always being careful about the background noise in your track. That is absolutely vital, is the fact that you can't mix as easily if you're trying to mix around noise. Now, this is where I have to get clever, because what I've got is, at this point, I've got wasn't. And then I've got Alice. So this is where I want the T. But I'm going to have to carefully fade out and then fade in tracks and hope it sounds right. I mean, it's very dicey doing something like this. When you copy in plosives, T's, P's, K's, things like that, it's less important to get the intonation the same, because those are letters that don't really have intonation. K, P, T. I mean, even if you're talking faster or higher, K, P, T, K, P, T, they kind of sound the same. It's not as big of a deal, though the breath here might be bad. But when if you try to copy in something where there's actually a vowel sound going, then it matters if you say what as opposed to what as opposed to what. There's the is where it changes, not the t. I don't know if I'm making any sense. One of the things I'm going to do, though, before I play this is I'm going to highlight it because otherwise the cursor will stop. I mean, the cursor won't stop and it'll go off the screen and piss me off again.
Wasn't Alice.
See?
Wasn't Alice.
Now, it ruins this breath, throws off the rhythm of the scene, but I can't take it out completely because it kind of is part of the t sound. Well, let's take it out and see what happens.
Or wasn't Alice.
Ooh, see? See how clever? I am going to fade it out just in case so that, you always try to smooth all your edges.
If there wasn't Alice. If I'd.
Score! See, now it's fixed. Now it works. Now I want to go back and steal that other line before I stop so I don't forget. Okay, where was the line I wanted? It is right here. Oh, well, that helps. I'm going to copy that and close that. Sure. And that's the I could have been a doctor line. Which,
I could have been a doctor.
I mean, it's either two different kind of feelings that he's portraying in the two different intonations of this line. Because here you go.
I could have been a doctor.
And then the other one is,
I could have been a doctor.
I mean, and I think I'm going to use this one because it's less defensive, even though Ken is a...
I could have been a doctor. Been well off. Made my...
And since I high-pass filtered everything in this track, again, I'm going to do that one, and then I'm going to volume it up. Let's go. Now let's see how it plays.
Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be. I could have been a doctor. Been well off. Made my father proud.
I don't like this breath. Have to replace it with sound.
I could have been a doctor. Been well off.
There's a thump in there I don't like either, so I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to volume it up. Is it this?
Been well off.
I know what I want to do then. Okay, well, I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to take this piece. This is another... There's just a lot of noise in there, even without it being volumed up. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it here. Then I'm going to copy some noise to match it. And I'm going to paste it back. Because the timing is fine.
I could have been a doctor. Been well off.
It's tricky. Actually, I want to take the timing down a little bit. One last time through the scene. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and I will put the voiceover sound in. And then real quick here, which is duplicate, volume down, low pass filter. Oops, not low pass filter, reverb low pass filter. Ha! See, I should probably learn how to chain. The last time I tried doing chaining, it didn't work for me very well. I was probably in the wrong version or something. I've been doing this for such a long time. A lot of stuff kind of gets, you're like, what version was I working on when that was a problem? I don't remember. I should probably get myself up to date, except I don't like some of the things in this new version. Anyway, so that should, and then we'll, just for now, I'm going to put him a little off center so that we get that sound.
Well, we're not broke yet, but with interest and penalty.
Too loud on the reverb.
Well, we're not broke yet, but with interest and penalties, we just lost a whole year's solvency on down the line. I hate this uncertainty. not being absolutely sure we'll be safe and have what we need. If only they would take me seriously. Listen to me. Duh! I hate being the bean counter, the worry wart, the voice of reason. Uh, no one ever respects the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang?
I need to volume this up just a skosh because the tonality changes just a little bit.
Respect the good guy, the one with the budget specs. Why couldn't I be the rich bastard who never has to give a dang? Hell, if Chiyoko had never been left with us, I probably would be. I could have been a doctor, been well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a success. And no monsters.
I'm going to take this one up just a little bit so it matches more with the following one.
I could have been a doctor, been well off, made my father proud. He always wanted me to be a success. And no monsters, no danger, no panic, no random trips to strange places. No Chiyoko, no Hyde, no Alice. On the other hand, if there wasn't Alice,
There's a noise here that I want to get rid of. I know, I keep going, I'm going to get out of here. It's actually just before the breath. See? Right there. That noise. And now I have to take it out on all the tracks or else the reverb track will also be messed up. And in fact, there's a little noise right in front of it too. I'm going to take away this one, and then I'm going to take away this one. And then I'll get rid of the guide track and go...
On the other hand, if there wasn't Alice, if I didn't feel this overwhelming wish to be with her, to look after her, I could have found something better, something healthy. A woman who would have been appropriate. A nice, pleasant, pretty woman. Someone who could cook and keep house and would be devoted to good old Dr. Sakamoto. And we would grow old together in pleasant contentment. Nah.
And then he's got something in a breath right after that that I don't like. I know I'm being super picky, but this is how you make good shows, is you be super picky. What the hell?
Nah.
Okay. And since I don't have to space it for timing, I'm just going to copy it from previous and paste it. And I'm not worried about that. So, okay. So, here I've got this, and I can get rid of the label track, and I can get rid of that track. And this is ready for me to mix it down and then add in sound effects and move him through the soundscape. Because basically while he's doing this, he's like nuking a cup of coffee or something and then wandering back to his office as he's wandering around. And that's going to be a tricky sound effect mix to put in. I mean, I could just skip it. It could just be him sitting at his desk, but I like the idea of, because this is a melancholy moment for him. He's having a lot of downtime, and Ken goes up and down a lot. In season 1, episode 5 kicked his ass really bad, and episode 6 was his redemption for that. This is episode 1 where he's got another crisis on his hands and he needs another up thing, and he actually doesn't get it right away. Episode 2 of season 2 is very Ken focused, and he's kind of making up for his sins. And then he's going to have his redemption is actually again in episode 6 of this season, really. Though episode 5 and 6 are both actually really good for him in some ways. But and I'm trying to make sure each of the characters has some ups and downs. in one way or another. The most even-keeled character of all is, of all things, Chiyoko. She just has her goal on what she's got to do in her life, and everything else is fun, but not anywhere near as important. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that and say goodbye. And thank you for watching if you were here. And thank you for watching if you're here afterwards. If you're seeing this on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my actual current audio podcast, which is at 19 Nocturne at libs or 19 Nocturne.libsyn. Oh crap. You'd think I'd have it memorized. Uh, just a second. I'll check. 19nocturne.libsyn.com. And that's 19 spelled out. Most of what's coming out there right now is Atomic Julie's Galactic Bedtime Stories, which is old sci-fi and sometimes horror stories that I record just as a straight reading, and I put in updates on what's going on at the beginning of every one of them, so keeping everybody updated. I'm also putting out a 5-minute per month audio drama right now called The Prisoner of Hancock House, which goes out to my Patreon supporters first, and then a month later, or to my $10 and up Patreon supporters, a month later to the every other Patreon supporter, and then a month later to my regular just plain subscribers, to encourage people, because that's one of the benefits of being a Patreon supporter. Patreon has been pulling some jiggery pokery recently and isn't as optimal as it could be, but it's still charges, well, I guess you can't say it still charges less than PayPal, but it's close. I'll tell you, if you want to do a $1 subscription, send me $10 on PayPal and tell me it's for 10 months. That's the best way to do it if you can, because $1 a month, I get like 62 cents if it's a PayPal transaction of $1. But I know this is not the thing that's likely to get people encouraged to jump in and subscribe, because this is odd as far as a watching entertainment thing goes, and that's fine. I totally understand that. I am mainly doing this stream so that I get some stuff done and I get a chance to talk through some of my process. If anybody ever watches it, I will be happy. So I hope you all have a great day, whoever you are. Bye bye.